Shalom. And let's start out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Harakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Citations to the Forsake. That's pushing this truth across the four corners of the earth, and offer truth and sincerity. This is Amawanabad back getting us sitting. As we're going to, I don't know, in these times right now, going forward, how the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua is gonna look after his elect. The elect gonna be, protected. Yahushua gonna make sure the elect, ain't no harm gonna come upon the elect. His anointed. Even like say you might be faced with, hey, it'll come a time where even now, like saying you got the men of the Lord and how his byways and teaching the word. You may have people try to come out and try to do something, whatever it may be, but Howard Shah, he got his anointed. Excuse me, he got his his men that the men of the Lord, that's anointed. Lord Shah, is gonna protect this anointed. The men of the Lord that's teaching his truth. The men of the Lord, Great Millstone. Excuse me, the men of the Lord of Great Millstone is going to be protected, by Lord Yahushua, in these times, going forward, even when all hell breaking loose, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua is going to make sure his elect is, like I say, taken care of, protected, and no harm is going to come upon the elect, like I say, but, there's a balance, you're gonna have those that believe in Lord Yahweh Shai, but you're gonna have those, those that believe in Lord Yahweh Shai, they're gonna how to be martyrs, for their faith, how to be put to death, for their faith, but like I say, you're gonna have, like I say, the balance of, gonna have those that not gonna taste of death, nothing's gonna harm, those that Lord Yahweh Bash, Shah is not gonna let nothing, no pain or no suffering. I say, no, excuse me, no harm. I just say gonna come upon those that Lord Shah is not gonna let that come upon them. So I'm getting to it. Ecclesiastes 2:10. Look after the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Of whom did he ever despise that called upon him? So look at the generation of old. Like I said, look at the the men of the Lord back then. That believe in the Lord Yahweh Bash Shah, right? Look at Daniel in the lion's den, right? Daniel was faced with a situation the lions gonna eat him up, and then and it didn't happen. Lord Yahweh didn't make that happen. He like, nah, this is my anointed. Don't do no harm to him. Don't nothing. And the lions didn't do it. They, and then like I said, the situation, with the three holy children, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, when they was in that fiery furnace, when Nebuchadnezzar put them in that fiery furnace, that fire didn't touch them, so Most High Yahweh, was in there, was in there. The Most High was in there, Yahweh Shah, was in there, right? Protecting, protecting, the three holy children, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. The disciples, right? Peter, was in prison, got in the earthquake, shook out of there. Peter, excuse me, was in the prison, and the angel came in there and you know got Peter out of got Peter out of the prisons, out of the prison, right? And so forth, man. You know, let's say how about Shai, is gonna look after, his anointed, you know, um, in these times, hopefully I'm part of righteous number, that the Lord Yahweh shall have mercy upon me, that I escape, his wrath and judgments that, it's gonna be is right now, those times are, is being bought upon, this wicked world is ran by these so called white people, Esau, Edomite doubles, but as go forward, just those that believe Lord Yahweh, me myself, that Yahweh have mercy, man, and that be protected, had a hedge of protection, man, cause gonna need it, that protection by Lord Yahweh, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh in these times. So those men of the Lord, that call upon the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh, that call upon the Lord, they got delivered, right, out of circumstances, it's gonna be the same thing, right? You're gonna have men of the Lord they're gonna be delivered from, not being harmed by any situation, right? And like I say, gonna get power to, get out of a situation, that power could come about, right? Whatever they may be in a situation, you need that power to get out of a situation. Those UN troops coming in, well, it may be, right? Gotta believe that Lord Yahweh can make that happen, if you truly believe, and that goes to me first and foremost, in a situation, even now, and going forward, that Lord Yahweh have mercy and deliver you out of your situation, that you may be going through, you facing, but go to the next verse, Ecclesiastes 2:11. For the Lord is full of for the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction. So Lord Yahweh is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, forgiveth sins, and saving time of affliction. Hey man, Lord Yahweh, everything His time and will. Everything's His time, and it's all about me, myself, first and foremost. Those that believe in Lord Yahweh is to be patient. Be patient in your situation, whatever you may be going through. It might not seem like Lord Yahweh is not gonna, deliver you. But you hope, that like I say, you hope that Lord Yahweh hear your cries, and whatever you may be going through. You're trying to get out of the situation, or you're facing a life or death situation, right? But like I say, if you're the righteous number, because you gotta be of the elect, Lord Yahweh is gonna deliver you out of that. It says He saveth in time of affliction. Like I say, whatever you may be facing, like I say, a dire situation is a life or death situation, right? And like I say, Lord Yahweh, He comes and He delivers you out of it. So that's what's gonna happen to men of the Lord that believe in Lord Yahweh. And like I say, if you're of that righteous number, like I said again, you gotta be a part of the elect number. That Lord Yahweh is gonna have mercy upon you. If not, if you're 2/3, then you're just not gonna Lord Yahweh not gonna deliver you out your situations. Because like I said, 2/3 Israelites, they want to be of this world. They want to trust in this system. They trust. They trust in what they could see in a carnal, but not being spiritual. They more carnal mindset. They gotta go by what they could see, than actually believing, having faith, and knowing that the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Shah gonna deliver you out of your situation, instead of selling out and for for this paper dollar that ain't worth shit. You know, ain't nothing but a piece of toilet paper to wipe your butt with. It's, this paper dollars. It's not worth selling out for. You know, like I say, but hey, you have the elect and you have the, not the elect. The elect gonna keep their faith in Lord Yahweh Shai and wait patiently upon Lord wait patiently upon Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and not give in and and bow down to the system, or sell out to these wicked Edomite devils for a piece of this fiat currency, this digital currency. Eventually, like I say, it's gonna go from these credit cards to, eventually you're gonna have to take that micro C-hip, which is the mark of the beast. Is you gonna really trust Lord Yahweh in that time? The hour of temptation. Only the elect. If you're the elect, yeah. The elect is not going to take that. The elect is going to stand firm, Lord Yahweh and Lord. And I say, Lord Yahweh, the elect ain't going to worry about that, because the elect ain't going to have no fear of, like, whatever, I ain't taking that, the elect going to be trusting Lord Yahweh and just keep it moving, and that that Lord Yahweh going to make sure if you're the elect, you're going to be taken care of. You're going to be fed, you're going to be fed and clothed, and you're gonna have, you're gonna be, have something, a place over your head, to, shelter, so just gotta trust Lord Yahweh Shai in these times. That go for me first and foremost, even right now going forward, even before when that Marco C hip is made mandatory, having faith right now when things ain't too bad right now. But it's gonna get there, When things really get bad, how strong is your faith gonna be? You know what I'm saying? And when things really get out of control, and that Marco C hip, which is the mark of the beast, be mandatory for you to buy and sell, to function. And it goes for me first and foremost, and I just hope my faith is strong in Lord Yahweh Shai, now and going forward, and don't break, but like I said, the elect is not gonna break. The elect gonna, you might bend, but you ain't gonna break. I just say you might bend, but you ain't gonna break. You ain't breaking. Might seem like nope. Lord, and then like I said, Lord Yahweh, He deliver you if you the elect out of that situation anyway. But I'll go from there. I'm go to Job. Okay, Job 5:19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yeah. In 7 there shall no evil touch thee. So hey, he shall deliver you in 6 troubles. And yeah, and yeah, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. Hey, Lord Yahweh shall gonna deliver you in 6 troubles, like the times of trouble, Jacob's trouble, all hell break loose, and then 7 is excuse me, the number 7 is completion, right? So the completion of that, you ain't gotta, and then like I said, you don't have to deal with that second death, which is that those thermonuclear missiles raining down upon America, Babylon the Great, and you don't have to deal with that, So you up there, let Lord Yahweh shall go deliver you out of time of Jacob's trouble, which you in right now. We in those times right now of it. It's only gonna get worse, but just things really getting out of hand and so forth. And then ultimately, like I said, Lord Yahweh returning, and the chariot suck your foe. If you're the elect, Lord Yahushua gonna call you upon the chariot, so you could not have to take part of the second death, like I say, which is gonna be by way of fire, by way of the thermonuclear missiles. So go from there. Job 5:20. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war and from the power of the sword. So like I was not too long saying, how Yahushua is gonna deliver his elect from famine. Hey, it's gonna be a famine out here. Lack of food, lack of resource and stuff like that. Rationing, of food and water. And what I'm saying, a whole bunch of pestilence, disease and stuff going around, and so forth, right? In war and from the power of sword. So the elect gonna be delivered from all that. If you're that number, Lord Yahweh gonna have mercy upon you if you're that elect. None of these things gonna touch you. Not famine. You're gonna have food to eat. You're gonna have you're not gonna have that death is not gonna come upon you. No sicknesses or nothing gonna touch you to where you're gonna die. In war, all hell breaking loose here in America, Babylon Great streets, and World War III, going on and so forth, and from any sword, whatever the sword may be, right, gun or whatever, right, so Yahweh Shah gonna make sure, he gonna definitely protect his elect. The Lord Yahweh, the Lord Yahweh Shah knows who his elect is. And he gonna make sure his elect is okay. But like I say, it's the balance. You're gonna have those that gonna have to die for the faith of Lord Yahweh Shah, but you're gonna have those of that number that's not. The Lord Yahweh Shah gonna have mercy on and protect. Have protection from. You ain't gotta worry about these things, famine and death and so forth, right? So. I didn't want to make this too long, so hold this edifying. So again, like all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Harakah Kadash, to the apostles, elders, to the sisters and brothers, to the few Akwaf sisters, to do this and keep the faith. And Yahushua, keep fighting with that. Say shalom.